Today, history was made from the heart of Vatican City. As crowds packed St. Peter's Square and eyes around the world watched in suspense, the words rang out across the balcony, Habemus Papam, but what followed left everyone stunned. Who is Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost, and how did this quiet figure from Chicago become the 267th Bishop of Rome? He's now Pope Leo XIV, the first American ever to wear the white cassock, and the first Augustinian to lead the global church. But this isn't just a milestone, it's a message. The conclave began just days after the passing of Pope Francis on the 21st of April. 133 cardinals locked behind the doors of the Sistine Chapel. 4 ballots later, a new name, not the one many expected. Wasn't Cardinal Pietro Parolin supposed to be the frontrunner? How did Prevost rise from outside predictions to inside consensus? The answer might lie in his life story, one that spans continents, languages, and the poorest corners of the church. Born in 1955 in Chicago, Prevost entered religious life early, but his ministry would take him far from home, deep into the mountains and villages of Peru. For over 20 years, he served not from a palace, but from places where running water was a luxury and faith meant survival. Why did he choose this path, and how did it shape his vision for leadership? There, he learned Quechua. He built bridges literally and spiritually. And when Pope Francis appointed him Bishop of Chiclayo in 2015, he shook up expectations, empowering indigenous communities, reforming church systems, and pushing for environmental protections long before climate justice made headlines. As prefect of the dicastery for bishops, he earned a reputation inside Rome, but outside, he was still mostly unknown. Now, he stands at the helm of a 1.3 billion member church. So what can we expect? He's doctrinally conservative but radically compassionate. He opposes abortion and same-sex marriage, but he's marched for immigrants, spoken out against gun violence, and challenged deportation orders on moral grounds. Is this the Pope who can hold the center of a divided church? Can he unite tradition with reform without losing either? His choice of name says everything. Leo XIV, a tribute to Pope Leo XIII, the social reformer who defended workers and reshaped Catholic engagement with the modern world. His motto, In uno unum, in the one, we are one. Does that hint at a global outreach strategy? A renewed call for solidarity? With deep ties in Latin America, roots in the United States, and fluency in both the language of tradition and the needs of the present, Pope Leo XIV could become a bridge across the most fractured edges of the church. Section 5. The Moment on the Balcony. As he stepped onto the balcony, under the soft glow of the Roman night, there were no grand declarations, no politics, just 5 words. Peace be with you all. Was it planned? Or did it come from the heart of a pastor who's always chosen presence over power? The crowd erupted, the bells rang, and from that moment, a new era quietly began. Section 6. What comes next? The world now watches. How will he navigate church reform? Will he reshape Vatican diplomacy? How will he address tensions around gender, justice, and global poverty? In an age of polarization, Pope Leo XIV inherits not just a throne but a fragile hope. And the white smoke from the Sistine Chapel? It wasn't just the signal of a decision, it was the spark of a story still unfolding. A story of a man shaped by mission and a church searching for unity. He was never considered the likely choice. Even within the corridors of the Vatican, his name didn't top prediction lists. So how did Cardinal Prevost quietly build a consensus strong enough to secure the papacy in just 4 ballots? Some say it was his silences, refusal to campaign, or posture that earned him trust. Others point to his decades of walking alongside the poor in Peru. But one thing is certain, this is a pope forged in mission, not in power. Before Rome ever knew his name, villagers in northern Peru did. They knew him not as an official, but as Father Roberto, a priest who stayed when others left. The one who spoke their language, lived in their conditions, and never stopped listening. Can such a background shape the Vatican itself? Back in Chiclayo, his tenure as bishop wasn't quiet. He introduced transparency where corruption lingered. He gave indigenous leaders real decision-making power. He challenged political elites and pushed the church to speak out on environmental destruction. Was this the blueprint that convinced cardinals he could lead globally? Even within the Roman Curia, his style stood out. As prefect of the dicastery for bishops, he emphasized humility over hierarchy, pastoral needs over political favors. Some said he moved too slowly. Others said he listened too deeply, but in a church craving credibility, could those be exactly the virtues needed? And what about his politics? He's not easy to label. He upholds church teachings on life and marriage. But he also condemned refugee bans as acts of fear, not faith. He criticized government silence after mass shootings. He called on Catholics to confront racism, not just pray about it. Does this signal a new balance between doctrine and justice? Even his election seemed to bypass the usual Vatican machinery. With lightning speed, cardinals from every continent found alignment. Was it his character? His clarity? Or a shared belief that the church's next leader must be someone with dirt under his fingernails and gospel in his bloodstream? And then there's his papal name Leo, a lion's name, a name tied to vision and social transformation. Is it just symbolic, or a sign of the kind of roar we can expect from this quiet man? Already, believers and skeptics alike are watching closely. Will he reform the Roman Curia? Will he take a stronger stance on abuse accountability? Will he elevate voices from the global south? In a polarized world, will Pope Leo XIV be the shepherd who can hold contradiction without compromise? As the first American pontiff, the expectations are enormous. As an Augustinian, his approach may be rooted less in rules and more in relationship. But how long before the pressures of the papacy clash with his pastoral instincts? This moment is bigger than one man. It's about whether a church stretched across time zones and ideologies can still speak with a single heart. Can this new pope be that heart? The questions are only beginning, and so is his story.